Right. Speaking the truth in love is speaking the truth for their good and their benefit. It is not just to get the monkey off your back, get something off your chest, tell people what you think. That's not what it's about.
Weaponizing a truth.
Yes, it's not. It is about speaking the truth for their benefit.
Last episode, we stepped directly into the danger zone of unholy sympathy. You know, the moment when you try to help someone and accidentally help them stay exactly where they are. Not ideal. Apparently, telling people that not all compassion is helpful raises a few follow-up questions. So here we are. In part 2, we're getting practical. What does real biblical mercy actually look like when things are messy? How do you help someone without becoming their spiritual life support system? And how do you speak truth in love without immediately becoming that guy in every group chat? So if part 1 made you slightly uncomfortable, good news. We're just getting started. All right, Pastor Dave, so let's just pick up on this one. John 1:14, and the Word became flesh, full of grace and truth, right? Well, that leads me to the question number 5. We have the perfect model of someone who's showing true mercy. How did Jesus model true mercy?
Yeah. Well, he spoke the truth. And many times, people were asking the questions that they didn't need to answer. He didn't answer, so he asked other questions.
So he another question?
so he went down further. He also moved with compassion on those that were truly broken. One of my favorite stories is the story of the woman caught in adultery. And I can almost see that moment in my mind's eye. And oh man. And there's a tradition that states that when Jesus wrote in the ground, he was writing the name of the man who'd been sleeping with her, and that man was in the crowd. Now, what I find fascinating, if you read that text, it says that that all the scribes and Pharisees begin to leave, the oldest first, because the young guys want to stay back and fight. And the
older guys have learned.
Older guys are like, you know what? We're kind of in. We're done.
Yep.
And so I think that Jesus, when people were broken, he treated them gently. He never would bruise a reed. He wouldn't break it. He's going to care for it delicately. The arrogant and the hard-hearted, he confronted strongly, and he had when I say no compassion, I mean no, he was not full of mercy to let them stay in their sin. It was like, no, you're going to be confronted on this.
Right. Well, I would even say the same thing. Well, with the soft, with the ones that are bruised, their sin was still never ignored. No, it was never ignored. I mean, Jesus. That's what he says to the lady: "Go and sin no more." But you got those portraits of that. You got the prodigal story. He goes off. He's arrogant. Whatever. He gets broken. Comes back, and the Father receives him in his brokenness. And I just think there's some truth in that we have to embrace, that Jesus didn't compromise his holiness, didn't compromise the justice of God, didn't ignore our sin. He cared for us. And those that are broken are those that you go to help. Those that aren't broken, you have to ask, why do you want to help? Sure.
Right? Because are you feeding their unbrokenness and their pride?
John 8:11, neither do I condemn you, go. And from now on, sin no more.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the story.
I'm going to hold you accountable, but we're not going to just, kitchen sink this, if you will. Number 6, what does it look like to speak truth in love? Let me give you an example, a scenario, and tell me how you would deal with it. You work with me every day, right? I say, hey, Pastor Dave, check out this awesome guitar I just bought, right? 1940 something Martin. Man, how much did that run you? About $4,000. 2 months later, I can't pay a bill, and I come to you for benevolence. What do you do?
I tell you, go sell that Martin.
And I would cry.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, and I would. I'd tell. I would. I know you, and I would trust. And I would say, look, brother. Here, I just want you to evaluate, were these the right purchases? Was this the right space? I'm not going to avoid the challenging conversation because it's for your good. That's the thing that I think we have to realize.
You don't want to see me in that again.
Right. Speaking the truth in love is speaking the truth for their good and their benefit. It is not just to get the monkey off your back, get something off your chest, tell people what you think. That's not what it's about.
Weaponizing a truth.
Yes, it's not. It is about speaking the truth for their benefit. So in that situation, I would hope I would say to you, man, I think you probably need to sell that guitar, or you might want to cut some expenses back, or because you bought this $4,000 guitar, you know. And I think you want to evaluate some of that. So speaking the truth in love involves that type of thing. And, you know, we just, by and large as a culture, don't like that. We don't want to say the truth to one another because we're afraid of being canceled, or afraid of somebody not liking us.
Well, you hear the phrases, you do you, and I'm not going to judge, and, you know, who am I? You know, that kind of thing. But
I will say, too, that people who have spoken truth have done it harshly or meanly or critically or judgmentally. I've done it, good grief, and I can think of moments I regret. And but by and large, it's also just saying, look, I'm not afraid to tell you the truth and what I think. And listen, you can disagree with me, but I love you enough to tell you what I think. And here's biblically why I think I'm concerned.
Sure.
And I think that's speaking the truth to them, to say, for the purpose of them turning and then responding to the Lord. I mean, there's nothing more loving than sharing the gospel with with somebody that you care about.
That's in Ephesians 4:15. Speaking truth in love.
Right. And so it's critical that we learn to be truth speakers for the other's benefit. Right. I know so many people that just avoid this like the plague, because in their mind, they're not speaking the truth in love. They don't speak the truth because they love themselves too much, right? I'm in love with myself. Therefore, I don't want you to not like me. So I'm going to not tell you what I really think. Instead, here's the money to pay your bill.
But no confrontation.
Right. But what did that do to you and your family? What did that teach you about biblical principles? What did it teach you about honoring God with your finances?
I paid a bill, but now I'm in a deeper hole. Spiritually. Financially. Just all around wisdom.
What does it do? What good is it for a man to gain a 1948 Martin and lose his own soul? Right? That, I think we have to always think of those kind of principles. What's the best thing? I want people to lose their soul. And we just have to kind of, we just don't think in those terms very often.
Well, you make a good point. I mean, and I think about this every once in a while. We get so wrapped up in the here and now when we look at these things, right? On fixing the problem, or what we're going after, what we're seeking in the life, no matter if it's something materialistic or not. But how does the lack of our awareness that there is an entire eternity waiting for us play into this?
Well, I mean, I think that we are theoretically Christian and we're functional atheist many times. And
you just described all America.
Yes, and that's mainly because we don't think in terms of standing before God and giving an account. And you know, maybe it's just because I'm old and I start thinking about these things a lot more. But I start thinking, man, I'm gonna be before the Lord at some point here soon, and I'm closer to the day of death than I am the day of my birth. That's a sobering thing.
But that's a truth for all of us, and we don't even know. We don't know.
And so I think but we don't think in those terms.
No.
And so we don't give thought to, I need to say the truth to this individual for their eternal good. And we walk away from it. And it could be, things like you mentioned, the financial piece, and somebody's coming and asking for benevolence. It could be, not disciplining and caring and discipling and training our children. Those are all things. I mean, the Puritans saw a father not catechizing his children as a church discipline issue. I mean, you do that math on that one. And so you go, wow, okay. These guys took it serious because they knew they were going to stand before God one day and give an account for how they raised their families.
You take something like Deuteronomy 6, you might be able to make that argument pretty easily. You can
make that argument. And I think it's important for all of us to, wonder. I mean, here's an example. You could have a family that they have not been training or disciplining their children. They get to be 8 to 10 years old, that time when they're strong enough to do train wrecks, and they start having train wrecks. And unholy sympathy just says, we'll come alongside and just try to help, but we don't ever instruct them on, hey, there's some things that you missed and you got to revisit. And biblically, here's some things you probably need to evaluate. And we don't speak the truth about that.
If you saw your 5-year-old running towards a ledge, would you stop and say something to him, or just let him go?
Yeah, and but I think that's where, again, it's fear of man rather than the fear of the Lord.
Right.
That we wrestle with a lot.
Or just seeing somebody that is a soul.
Sure.
That's not just your friend Joe. No, that's a soul.
But even I've asked myself the question, like, man, Lord, how many moments have I passed up?
Oh man.
That I'm gonna kind of give an account for you before you. I'm gonna talk to you about that in the end, and it's like, hey, you missed this moment.
Right.
I mean, God in His providence will see all that, but it's just challenging.
Right. So Galatians 6:1, brothers, restore him in the spirit of gentleness, right? Along that lines that you were talking right there, how can we tell if our sympathy is helping or hurting? Should I say something? Should I not?
I don't know. I ask questions. Like, two questions are simple to me. Does this, what I'm going to say, glorify God? And is it a benefit to them? If it is, I do it.
They're two pretty good questions.
And so
Is it going to say that again? Glorify God.
Does it glorify God? And does it benefit them? Yes, I do it. And I leave the results kind of in the hands of the Lord. I don't know all the details. I'll give you an example. We had a deal happen. This happened a while back, and a lady had come to the church. She'd wanted some benevolence, and I did the same thing that I always do.
Just whipped out that credit card.
Well, I did.
Here you go.
Yeah, I walked down, took her down to this hotel that she wanted to stay at, and
here's a blank check.
No, I said, do you guys have any hotel vouchers? And I bought a voucher, paid for the night.
Hey, you're learning.
No, this was a long time ago, and it was at a hotel that I knew I needed to do that at.
Okay.
And but anyway, what was interesting was about 5 years later, the same lady came and met my assistant Christina in the parking lot. Well, Christina gave her some money because she, out of the goodness of her heart, she wanted her.
Yep.
Well, about 4 months later, lady showed up again, and finally, I had to say to her, "You know what? We've helped you. If you noticed, we've helped you a lot." And she goes, "Oh, I remember you. You helped me. Yeah, I need my bill paid at the hotel." And it was this thing, right? And I just said to her, "No, can I share with you really what the truth of things are right here?" And I just shared the gospel with her. Now, my point is, I felt like I was honoring the Lord in paying something. I'm sure Christina did the same thing. She was honoring, wanted to glorify God. She wanted to, but we begin to realize this would be glorifying to God, but it wasn't a good for her.
Copy that.
See?
Okay.
I could give her the money and it would glorify God.
Because you're being obedient. Your heart's right. Yeah, sure.
But it wasn't going to benefit her.
Right.
So we needed to step back. And later I talked to a couple police officer friends and kind of explained the situation. And the person, I said, yeah, that person's going place to place. I was like, okay, that was helpful.
Yep.
So that gives you an example of it. I mean, I think I ask those two questions a lot.
Yeah.
I do it a lot when I'm like thinking about talking to somebody about something. Like, does this glorify God? Will this benefit them? I maybe even sometimes say, is this any of my business?
Yep.
Is this being a critical spirit? Is this, Bill's come up with a comment lately. He told me it's been really helpful. He just said, rather than when you see somebody do something out of character, rather than getting critical, become curious. I think that's a great statement.
Yes.
And so I think sometimes it's just finding out like what would be helpful. I've been involved with a couple situations extra locally with some churches, and I've asked both of the parties that are in disagreement at times to go, what would be helpful to you? What would be helpful to your church?
Yep.
What do you think would glorify God that I could do to help?
Yep.
And just trying to get their input because I think it's really those are good questions for me.
Yep. I mean, I we've all been in the situation. I ask myself often, is this empowering or is this enabling? I
think that's a good question.
But like the situation that you had with the gal, right? You gave her money. She came back, a couple years later. Can I ask what was said? How did you handle confronting that? You said you shared the gospel, but how?
What I told her was I said, hey, you know what? I don't know if you remember a few years ago, I took you down to pay this bill. She said, yeah, I do remember that. Was so nice of you. I said, well, recently you just talked with my assistant too here. And it seems that you're here quite a bit. I said, there's a story in the Bible where like the guy said, I'm not going to give you any more money. I'm just going to pray for you. So I'm just going to tell you the truth of Jesus and what the story is about. If you want more, like you want to serve, you want to understand more about Jesus and you want to like get true benevolence, then here's where we meet. Here's where our church is. This is what we're about. And we're only going to give to people that are committed here so we know them. And then I prayed for her and let her go.
Yeah. How'd she respond?
Oh, fine. I mean, she, she kind of understood it. She had tears in her eyes, and I think because part of the tears, it felt like I could be wrong, could just be being weird.
Yep.
But it just felt like she was like, I've been caught.
Some conviction.
Yeah, a little guilt.
Yep.
And I wasn't mean to her. I was very gracious. I was out in the parking lot, so it was
right.
But it was just something it was hard.
Very good. Question number 8 for you. So, what are the practical ways to show true mercy? Is it just with your pocketbook, or
no?
How else can we do this?
Well, I think a lot of it is just being personal. My wife loves to say, "Be where your feet are."
Yep.
Proverbs 17:24 has been a verse I've been meditating on about. Wisdom in a sense is present.
Right.
It's not searching to the ends of the earth. Thinking about all those other things. I think some of it's being right in the moment, listening to people, hearing what their stories are,
listening, asking
the Lord to just kind of break your heart over situations with people. I mean, Tammy Rubel said years ago, and it's such a true statement. She said, sin always makes us stupid, and it's true. And I think that we need to give more ground to the fact of like, this person's, I get it, they did this dumb thing. But
haven't we all?
Well, and they're kind of blinded by it.
Yeah, right.
And that's just kind of life. And I just feel bad for them. And Lord, would you open their eyes to this thing?
Yeah, right.
And I think that I think we'd find more compassion and mercy for people when we truly prayed for them.
Sure.
And we thought through them, thought about their stories.
Yeah.
And not every story is the same.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You could meet like I did one day. I came outside the building one day. There was this homeless guy sleeping outside the building, and he was 17. I sat and listened to a story. He loved to read. I knew that because he had these giant books on mushrooms. And I thought, okay, he's researching something.
Well, hey, I got a book for you. Yeah.
So I said to him, do you like to read? He goes, I love to read. I said, well, I'm going to give you 2 books. So I went and I got him the book by R.C. Sproul, The Truth of the Cross. I got him another book, and I just shared the truth of the cross with him. And the kid just tears in his eyes. And I said, man, where are you from, dude? He goes, I'm actually from Bend and going to Coos Bay. And, I'm kind of, I don't know, my parents kicked me out. And I was like, man, if you're ever back in Roseburg, I want to chat with you again. I'll take you to Dairy Queen. We'll get a burger and talk. And I just had a heart for the guy.
Yeah,
and I've never heard from him again. It just broke my heart.
Yep.
But I just think, man, those are hard.
Yeah.
And if your heart doesn't kind of break for it.
Yep.
I mean, I see people, and I hope that people do this too. I mean, I see, tweakers and people on the street.
Yep.
And I just think to myself, that's somebody's daughter.
Yep.
It's somebody's son.
Yep.
And it's a brother or sister, and they're blinded. They are so consumed with their own sin, and my heart breaks for it.
But you're right, with us being around it, and I mean, almost being consumed with the handouts and everything like that, it's easy for us to become desensitized.
It's easy.
So.
And we've got to be really careful. And,
right.
And we got to guard ourselves from being hard-hearted.
Right.
But we also got to guard ourselves from unholy sympathy. You know, that some of us are just too sympathetic in the sense that we let that lead instead of letting wisdom and scripture guide the whole understanding of it.
Rushing to remove consequences.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, very good. So, I mean, just kind of the last question for this topic of ours. What's at stake in how we show mercy?
Well, mercy shows God. So, I mean,
mercy shows the merciful.
It shows the merciful. And it also shows how much we know we've been forgiven.
Sure.
So I think it's important for us to show mercy. We're commanded to show mercy.
Yep.
We're blessed. It says to show mercy. Blessed are mercy, they shall receive mercy.
Yep.
And I think, well, Matthew 5 is later going to say, by the same standard that you judge, you will also be judged.
Yep.
And I think, well, there's something there, isn't there? There's like, okay, so I treat others mercifully. Others may treat me mercifully.
Yep. The greatest pyramid scheme of all.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think of myself like, I don't want to be that old man that's a grumpy old dude. My kids don't want to be around me. And
Get off the grass.
Yeah, people hate me. So I think, man, I want to be merciful and kind so that when I'm old, they want to play checkers with me.
No kidding. Yep.
They want to help me. They want to mow my grass and hear old stories and,
very good.
Listen to my rumblings.
Yep. Mercy isn't neutral. It's shaping souls. Proverbs 4:23, keep your heart with all vigilance. It's just that whole thing. All right. Pastor Dave, I think, especially for where we live, the timing of the age, this is a topic that we should all stew on. for us. And thanks for just taking your time again, as always, to be here with us. We're going to wrap things up, CLF. So you know that moment when someone's struggling and you think, I'll just make this easier for them. So you step in, smooth things over, remove the tension, and maybe you also remove the very thing God was using. Because sometimes what feels like helping is actually hindering. But imagine this. What if instead of rushing to relieve pressure, we trusted what God was doing in it? We prayed. We prayed for them. Because one path avoids discomfort and the other leads to transformation. So maybe the question isn't, how can I fix this? But how can I faithfully walk with them through what God is doing? As always, worship, fellowship, grow, and serve. We'll see you next time on CLF Conversations, where we grow in Christ, one conversation at a time.